Wait, what? No, that was the diver that went in before me. No, no, there's no way I'm going in there. No, I'm allergic to sharks. I break out in bite marks. All right, just kidding there. This is just the footage at the end from when they were feeding the sharks. So actually, I do have a fear of sharks. I still remember early on in diving, I would be cruising along because I would just be amazed at all of the coral and everything at the bottom. But every so often, I would say, "Ooh, is there a shark?" So I would turn around and look quickly. And honestly, it just scared me. In fact, it's like sharks, alligators, crocodiles, all of those things that could just grab you out of the water. That does kind of scare me a bit, but I kind of put that aside. So 2 nights before this dive, there suddenly showed up in the Virgin app that they were offering a hammerhead dive. And I'm like, wow. So they lined you up in a big line and they would feed the hammerhead sharks and they would be mighty close to you. Man, I was scared. Really scared. But I thought, all right, I'll give it a try. I mean, what's the chance? Probably 80, 70% of the people on this dive come back? Just kidding. I think they all do. All right, so I went down the next day and tried to change that dive, but actually it turned out it was not being offered. The boat that the dive company needed for this, well, it wasn't there in Bimini yet, so they couldn't actually put it on. I was disappointed. I won't lie. I was also like a little relieved. So I wasn't really sure what we were going to do. But once we got on board the dive boat, the dive master asked everyone what they wanted to do. Well, diving with sharks was the first thing that was picked. So I was like, all right, so I'll get a chance to do it. And then there was a wreck dive that they talked about, but they didn't give a lot of information. But I was interested. So one of the things the dive master told everyone is, especially those with cameras, don't stick your camera way out to take a picture. Well, I've got a dive camera with big long arms with flashes on, and I had read somewhere that if you want to take pictures with a flash, to have them down way low and then angle up so you get a nice picture on the bottom of the shark. And I thought, man, that's what I want to do. But the dive master said, man, if you put your camera out or you put your arm or anything out, the sharks will come by and bite it. So it's not like they're looking for food. It's just kind of like our cat does this all the time. When it sees something new, goes up, sniffs it, first thing it does is it takes a bite out of it. All right, so that's really what the shark is trying to do. It's trying to figure out what it is that someone has stuck out in its direction. So in the end, I was like, I'd really like to stick those flashes out to get a better photo, but I was afraid to have them out too far, so I kept them in a little bit close. So Hurricane Nicole had just come through, really through the Bahamas and Bimini and into Florida. Didn't get too close, but close enough that it really stirred things up. So if you really look at the video, and especially if you look at the pictures, you'll see that there's just all kinds of sediment floating around. I actually would love to come back and do this dive sometime when the water is a lot clearer. I think it would be much nicer. I probably really should have turned my flash off. If I really look at all of these pictures, there's like dozens, if not hundreds, of orbs. Now, some people will tell you that those are spirits in the water, people that have drowned and are coming back to be with you as you dive. I think it's more just the flash hitting the sediment that's out of focus, but whatever. All right, so for the most part, we were really only about 20 feet deep. And so really, if you look at the video, sometimes when it angles up a little bit, you can see the surface of the water. And we dropped down. We did kind of swim around a little bit to take a look at some coral and some other stuff. But in the end, we got to a place that was right underneath the boat. And I guess that's where the sharks know they're going to get fed. So that's where they all kind of come to. So when we got down there and we stopped, we all kind of made like a big circle and everybody looked out. We had really about 5 or 6 sharks circle us. Maybe there were more. There would be some that would come in and go away. But really, at any given time, I could only see about 5 or 6 of them. But they stayed pretty far away. Every once in a while, one would come in a little bit close. One real brave one went right through the middle of our group. Um, so, in the end, the sharks kind of were here checking it out to see what we were doing. But the one thing the sharks know is that when the divers get out of the water, they know that's their feeding time. So as soon as we started ascending to get back to the boat, all of a sudden now there were more than a dozen sharks, and they were coming in really close. I mean close. In fact, there were a couple of times I could have actually reached out and touched them, but I didn't want to lose a hand. They were really, that's really where I started to get freaked out a little bit. It wasn't so much one, but there was like one point where one got really close, and I looked around and there were 3 or 4 others just still coming in towards me. That's where I think that was a little too much for me. Hmm, that looks like that could be the elusive jaguar shark. Maybe that's the one that killed Esteban. In the end, I let the GoPro run until really the actually I had to turn it off once I got back on the boat. I wanted to make sure that it was running the entire time, so even as I was getting ready to start handing it up, we were still capturing some sharks. At the very end of the dive, because again, this is what the sharks were waiting for, is they started to feed them. And man, did they just start piling on top of each other, and they were getting very aggressive about trying to grab the fish that were being thrown into them. What made me kind of laugh is, yeah, we got there was no food given to the sharks, we were down, But about the time we were getting out of the water and they were starting to feed them, a snorkeling boat came up and all of those snorkelers were going to hop in the water. I think I would much rather be on this dive than to be on that snorkeling excursion.
It sucks it down way more. Man. No, don't do that. Ooh. No wonder they all came up to the surface when we finished the dive.
Yeah. They know where it's at.
Yeah. As long as we weren't appetizers.